But this is really, and I know the board has already gotten this, it's I think 7 pages long. You got it a couple days ago. We'll zip through it. I don't know who's got the clicker. But really, the reason why we wanted to do this presentation, and like I said, Bruce, he said he would have done it by Zoom, this and that. I said, you know what? It would have been different if you were pitching the board like you did last year on doing the Webster Today. This is different. Now we have 5 editions under our belt. The board, the community now has an understanding of what this product looks like, and the board and the community also has an understanding of how we did 4 editions of the Webster Today in 2021, where in the past the Town Times, which was its predecessor to the Webster Today, did 3 editions. The 4 editions in 2021 of the Webster Today came in under budget. Correct, Paul?
This is correct, Tom.
Okay. I don't know, my math, doing 4 for under $42,000 in the budget is better than doing 3 of the Town Times at $42,000 in the budget. So I told Bruce, and who does have the clicker? Go to the next one. Like I said, the board has seen this. I know that this was put up on our website and on social media 24 or 48 hours ago for the community to see. Just kind of gives basically an overview of where we were and what we've done in the last year plus on this. Does this ring some memories, Bill? Remember when Bruce came in here and pitched this? I know you have, yeah, so keep going, right? I should have had you present. Next time we will. So anyway, this just goes through really what transpired this year. The reception that we've had on it has been outstanding. People seem to like the format of it. And really, I don't know if we have this right now on the Thursday, the 18th agenda, but we're dovetailing toward awarding them, awarding Pilato the contract to do this in 2022. Paul and I have worked with Bruce. He understands what the 2022 proposed budget was. He now knows that the 2022 budget was adopted on November 4th. And the line item, I think, for the Webster Today Town Times is, what is it called?
$43,000.
$43,000. Now, you know, it's, what is it, Missouri, the show me state? In 2021, Bruce and his team performed. They came in under budget, and they got us 4 editions. I know that we have talked with Paul and myself and Chris Bilo that this year we'd like to see if we can move to 5 and maybe even 6 editions. But that's going to stay within the budget of $43,000. So that's pretty much, you can zip through it because there's not a lot of visuals on this. This is all text and verbiage that I'm assuming because the board has had this ahead of time and because it is out there on the website. People can read this at their leisure. I'll open it up right now. Oh, one last thing. Chris Bilo has graciously accepted to be the point person at the town for the 2022 Webster Today. And I think that's a really good thing because there was a little ambiguity on that, Paul, in 2021. And we tended to run right up to the end of production deadlines and all that because there really wasn't somebody that was overtly assigned as the point person. And I think some people thought because I was a supervisor, well, it's Tom by default. You do not want me in charge of this. So Chris, who runs a tight ship, he'll be running it, and I think myself and Kim in my office will be delegated to go and get content. get as much content and have a bank of content. Because to do 5 or 6 editions, one of the things that we run into problems with is, can you have enough content to do 5 or 6 editions? And Barry, I know you're shaking your head. You used to have to write for the highway department when there was 3 town times.
I think at one time we had 4.
I don't know that.
They may have included the,
A while
edition that
ago.
came out early each year, was the Webster Herald called.
Oh yeah, the Progress edition of the Webster Herald.
Okay.
It wasn't the town times. I think one of the ways that you can make sure there's enough pertinent content for the readers, which is, 20,000 people plus in Webster get this at their house, USPS mail to them, is that we've already shown this year that we have migrated outside of just giving department head updates. And for instance, I just was talking today with somebody who is instrumental at the cemetery on the corner of Woodhull there, Woodhull and 250. And they're doing a big celebration in July because they have, believe it or not, they have Revolutionary War veterans buried in that cemetery. Who knew? So we are getting them to
I
write.
thought that was the one on the ridge.
Well, they might have it too, but the one on Woodhull and 250, they're going to write an article, pictures, this and that. Now, whether that article goes in the January edition, or the March edition, or the May edition, this is the nice thing about having content that is outside of the town government department heads, but content that would interest the citizens of Webster. So, anyway, does the board have any questions, comments about?
I have a comment and a question. I think what is being put out is fantastic. Every time I get in my house, take time to read it. It's a very, very high quality product. Obviously, we're getting more for our money according to the budget. My question to Paul is, from a purchasing standpoint, are we in line with town policy with respect to awarding a contract without competitive bidding?
I think we are. I mean, the service that Bruce provides is basically a professional service. Because it's more than just printing. He's coordinating printing, he's coordinating acquiring the advertisers, he's doing the layout. So I think it takes a step beyond just straight printing.
Thank you.
My opinion is professional service, which doesn't necessarily have to be bid.
There was a level of creativity here that you can't really bid out. That's where my concern would be.
Yeah.
In terms of doing it. It's not your typical public service.
Right. I totally agree. I just wanted to ask the question so that if there are people, residents in the town that are concerned with respect to that, that we put that information out there.
It's a great question, John, and a little backdrop to that is that even though it's a professional service, I always think it's good to get a couple of bids on something. To your point, Charlie, the creativity makes it very subjective to figure out who is, it's not a low bid thing, because that low bid could just be terrible at this, right? But the other thing that came up is that Barry Howard at the Webster Chamber of Commerce, he and I talked about this, and I said, Barry, the challenge we would have in bidding this is that is there any firms out there, and I'm sure there is, that really do the bundled services. This is what this is. And I think the convolution of this is the Town Times in the past had one service that was done, and that was printing. Which, and I don't mean to put down printers, it's a commodity. Okay? Printing is a commodity. Creativity, layout, all of that is where that comes in. In fact, I was told when I became supervisor, I said, how does the Town Times work? And this is a bit of a paraphrase, the supervisor and his secretary, or his or her secretary, go and get articles, 1,000-word articles from the department heads. They put them all together and they send them to the printer. And I said, okay, well the printer was not tasked with any creativity, nor should they have been. The printer is basically given what camera ready to print. For us to go and bid this, to go and get an advertising agency, to go get a printer, to go get creative layout people. I think during the last couple of months we've met a creative person by the name of Chris Garvin. You would have to go and get like 3 or 4 or 5 different providers, and then the town would really be tasked with overseeing all of those providers to try to get them all to work together cohesively in about a 2-month process, because if we're going to do them 6 times a year, and I got to tell you something, that does not sound appealing to me. The old one throat to choke, which we've been hearing lately, you get a bundled services company that is going to handle all of that. I don't want to be talking to the printer about their time frames and making sure it gets in the mail on time. I don't want to be talking to the layout person while all of a sudden it's got double printing or is missing something. I want to be talking to the company that we hired to oversee all of that. And that's a very different thing. And even Barry Howard said, geez, there's not a lot of those companies, and certainly there isn't any that are based in Webster, because John, I know that's been a big thing that's put out there, is that we're not using a Webster company. That's fake news. A lot of entertainment is based out of Webster. So, anyway. Jeez, Bill, I went over my time.
Yes, you did.
Not surprised.
Question,
I second it, Bill.
question, well, I'm too very pleased with the publication. I've heard nothing but rave reviews on it across the board. We talk about the cost of publication and the revenue from the advertising. That we're supposed to get 65, 35, and I've never seen a number.
2 things, and I'll hand the baton to you in a second. When we did the contract last year, within the contract terms is the 65-35 split on the revenue that they go out and get. The town gets 65%, and it's as a credit against the bill. And Paul is able to take their rate sheet that they have, which is in the contract too. It's all right there.
I just haven't seen it.
And I'll hand the baton to Paul. It's pretty easy for you to tick and tie.
That's correct. The revenue is paid directly to Polano Entertainment by the advertisers. He contracts with the advertisers, and then he just simply gives us a 65% credit off the bill. We don't collect the revenue, we don't see the revenue. It's between he and the advertisers.
Okay.
He has to make sure it's collected before we're going to print. Otherwise, he could be short. So he takes on that risk.
So we won't ever see the number.
No.
Well, we
We
will.
get the invoice, it shows the gross expense, and that's on our 65% revenue, we pay the net.
Okay.
And Barry, another way to put it is, here's the rate sheet that they have.
No,
One
I
page.
understand exactly what you're saying.
And if they sell 5 pages of full-page ads, and that's all that's in there, and it's $1,000 a page, and I don't know, then they just sold $5,000 of ads. 65% of that is
Credited to
$3,500 or something.
Yeah, I understand.
And he gets a bill for the production of the thing with the 35, what is it?
$37.50.
It's you. It's a relatively easy ticking and tying in the finance department to make sure that they're honoring the deal.
Okay.
So, to be a cynic, I guess, do they take that rate sheet that they have out there and they send everybody, and they're saying, wink, wink, it's $1,000 a page, and I don't know if that, but we're going to charge you $2,000. That would seem odd.
Well, when we discussed this, we talked about the fact that this was going to cost this much, and this much was going to be offset by this much revenue. It inferred that we would be getting monies to us instead of getting credits.
Correct.
Okay.
And Barry, I'm glad you went down this line road, because it's funny. I think that one of the key people on Bruce's team is a gentleman by the name of Harry Levinson. And he, because of his background, and Paul, you're in these meetings,
Yes.
there is a real science and art to the fact that you can't have a 32-page Webster Today and have 30 pages of advertising. But it's not a flat number. It's not like, well, we can only have like 20% of the production be advertising space, because it kind of, Paul, I'm not articulating this correctly.
No, you don't have to go any further. I was just making a statement that I had a different view of what was going to happen. And if eventually they got enough advertisement, then it would almost totally offset the cost of the production.
The only way that could happen, Barry,
that's where I was headed. You know, I'm
It
not
could.
disappointed in the way it's happening, because I think we're getting a great product for what we've always spent. So I'm really happy with it.
well, and I don't want to, you know what?
And you don't need to go any further.
No, I will say, the way that could happen is if we all of a sudden produce a 70-page production.
Well, we're not going to do that.
I don't think we'll ever do that.
And I have
Because-
concerns. I know one of your concerns is about getting information out to the public, and it's a good one. So maybe 6 of these would be even better. I question content.
Yeah. Oh, I would
We
too.
have enough of it.
That's going to be the big challenge.
For me personally, 4 was perfect because it was a seasonal thing.
Yeah.
I also think that it could possibly become so frequent that then it becomes irrelevant in people's mailboxes. I think we have to walk that line very carefully.
We do, and I mean, the size of it, and that's why I say an art and a science of this is, you know, every action has a reaction, things work in inverse relationships. You can't have the thing too big, you can't have it go out weekly, content-wise. As you know, Patty, you know, now we've heard from the senior citizens in town that they don't use the computer, a lot of them, so we're like, okay, we're gonna need to get more stuff in front of them through the US mail. But we gotta know our limitations. The Webster Today, I don't know if we'll get to 6 this year.
I like quarter.
You know,
I do too.
so we'll see. That is a work in progress. But their main compass point is the budget.
Okay.
And I gotta say, Paul, they've been very good. They know that, you know, look, don't put us in a position where we're going over that annual budget.
Okay.